in my group, tech support for the stock market, there were a couple of guys that I got lunch with pretty regularly, and they both started trading this way, and they were making good money. And they both had partners. Neither one of them wanted to do it in their own account.
When you say they had partners, and they didn't want to do it in their own account, who did they trade through then?
Objection Foundation.
Overruled. It's relevant to his understanding. Actually,
The Objections Foundation, Your Honor.
yeah, no, I understand. I'm only interested in what his understanding is, and so he's got foundation for that. It's overruled.
So the question is, again, do you know why what was your understanding about why they were using a secret partner?
Objection Speculation.
Overruled.
Yeah, so I think you also asked who their partners were. One guy traded with his girlfriend, and the other guy traded with like his old college roommate. And both of them like had their partners open up accounts at Merrill. Because Merrill was the only place that had trading fees low enough where the strategy would make you money. And if you did it anywhere else, you wouldn't have any profits. And they were afraid of getting fired. So I actually placed a trade in my own account, before getting Iwana involved.
When you placed that trade, I mean, do you have a present memory of what that trade was about?
Yeah, I remember. It was GoPro. So I sold short, I short sold shares of GoPro. Did the strategy where you buy it back with options, and I made $500, but I got a talking to.
Well, I mean, first, I mean, you say you made $500, but you also had to borrow money to execute the trade, is what you just.
Yeah, it was $50,000 of GoPro that were traded. So I didn't have $50,000. Like I was 28 when this was all happening, and I had some savings, but like nowhere close to that amount. So I had to put up $5,000 of my own money. The rest was borrowed from Merrill.
So you say you got a talking to. Can you tell me what you mean by you got a talking to? What happened?
Yeah. So there was this older coworker that I worked with. Guy's name was Pete, and like he was like big, like a linebacker. He used to work on the Chicago exchange, where like back in the day before computers, where you had to go in person, and I guess being big helped him. That's just what I remember about him. That's why I'm bringing it up. But Pete, Pete sat me down and he said, "Zubair, what are you doing? Why are you trading $50,000 of GoPro? Like, why are you borrowing so much money?"
Objection, hearsay, Your Honor.
Overruled.
And I told him, "Look, I made $500. I think this is like I think I can make money this way." And he told me that I was raising flags at the company, and that if I kept trading this way, I'd keep raising more flags. And like the implication was clear. Like Arizona's an at-will state. This was my first like real job as an adult. Like I felt like I was just getting my life together, and I was terrified that like I didn't want to get fired. I didn't want to go back to what I'd been doing before. Like I had a car now, right? Like I didn't want to go back to riding my bike.
Now, did you ever share this incident with the defendant?
Yeah, so we were living together then, like when this was happening, and we had dinner every night together. I told her about everything in my life. So as soon as I made that $500, and got the talking to, like I told her right away. I remember telling her, hey, guess what? Like I'm paying rent this month with money from arbitrage, money that I made in the stock market.
What was your rent, by the way, per month?
Yeah, I was paying $380 a month. So like I remember back then, like the way we kind of came about it was I told her, you pick the rent, whatever you think is fair is what I'll pay. And $380 was like if you went on Craigslist and searched for a spare bedroom, that was the price of a spare bedroom.
When you moved in, and so you were living there prior to or at least prior to this reverse conversion opportunity?
Yeah. I'd been living there for about a year. So like all the reverse conversion stuff happened like around Christmas of 2016. And I remember moving in with Iwana July 19th of 2015. Like I made a note in my diary.
And in terms of, you moved out of your parents' house, you said?
Yeah. I moved out from my parents' house and into Iwana's house.
What was their response to that, move?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
They weren't happy about it. So like after the studio apartment, like right after college, like I didn't have money. Like I wasn't like I was hardly able to pay rent on that. And I'd moved back in with my parents and they were happy to have me. Like they thought, like at this point I told them that like I'm not religious. No offense to them, no offense to anyone here who's religious, but like I told them, for me, I don't know what happens after we die. I don't know where all this started. And I think I don't know is the most honest answer that I can get to. And I told them that, and they knew that. So when, I asked them, can I move back in with you guys? I think in the back of their heads, they were hoping that like I was going to come back into the fold. I was going to come back to Islam. I was going to be like the son that they wanted. So they were happy to have me. And the 2 years that I stayed with them, like the whole time, it was kind of like a religious conversion, like type dynamic that was going on. Like we were always talking about religion. They were asking me why I didn't believe. They were asking me to meet with like the mullah, which is the priest at the mosque. So it wasn't a great situation because I wasn't going back to Islam. Like I'm vegan. I was vegan then. I'll probably be vegan for the rest of my life, and that doesn't mesh well with Islam. Like one of the major holidays that they have, you have to slaughter like a sheep. It's a sacrifice for the community. So like the religion was never going to mesh with who I am as a person, and things were tense at home. And, moving in with Iwana was a chance to get away from that. But when I told them, like they weren't happy. The first thing they asked was like, "Ish, are you marrying her?" And I said, no, we're not dating. And so like, why are you moving in with an unmarried woman? Why are you moving in with 4 dogs? There were 4 dogs living there at the time. You're gonna go there and you guys are just gonna smoke marijuana. They weren't happy.
Okay. So you say you shared this reverse conversion strategy with the defendant. Do you have a memory of when it was exactly, more or less, when you first explained it?
Yeah, I actually do remember. So I got home. It was like 2 or 3 because I worked East Coast hours, so I had to get into work at 5, and I got off at 1:30. And we were standing up when we had the conversation. It was in the orange hallway. Like she'd painted all the walls different colors, and the hallway was orange. And I told her, it's like, hey, guess how I'm paying rent this month? It's with the stock market. I made some money in the stock market, and the guys at work, they have this strategy that they're calling free money. And so I told her, that there's free money to be had in the stock market.
What was her response to this strategy?
Like I don't think she believed me. Like I don't think it registered for her. Like in that first like exchange. But she caught on to like the phrase free money, and like she started chanting. It's like oh, Zubair found free money. Zubair found free money. And so like at first, it was just this joke thing, kind of between us. But then we kept talking about it, and like by that weekend, so we said like, why don't we do this too? The guys at work have partners that they're trading with. You and I live together. Why don't we do this?
Did you explain to her that you couldn't do it in your own account?
Yeah. I told her that, if I did it, like I'd raise all these flags, I'd get fired, or, like Merrill would just stop customers from trading reverse conversions. Like I told her that this had to be done in someone's account that wasn't an employee, because then it wouldn't be closely scrutinized, just because employee accounts had like a lot of attention that was paid to them.
So at that time, what were the terms of your agreement from your perspective? You know, what was your understanding about what you were going to agree to?
So I tried to keep it simple. Like I'm not a huge finance guy, but one of the guys that I read is Warren Buffett. And like he always said, if you're going to make a deal with someone, it needs to be something simple because the important part of the deal is trust. Like, do you trust the other person? And I trusted Iwana completely. So the deal that we had was, you know, if we make money, we split it. And at the end of this, you know, if we made money, give me back the money that I put in. Like anything I paid to borrow that money, and whatever's left over, we're going to split it. It was real simple.
What was her, well, you know, you just described that element. What was she going to do for this deal? What was she going to do?
There were a few things, I guess, aside from the money that she had to do. So she was going to open up the account in her name. She was going to, you know, share the username and the password with me, which we came up together. And she was going to, at first, be the one that placed the trades because I worked a real job. Like, so I worked regular hours. So like I was at work when the market was open and she was at home.
How would you communicate if you were working?
So we text back and forth. My little sister was like big into tech stuff, and she told me WhatsApp is like the safest place to communicate. So we both installed WhatsApp, and like we'd send messages back and forth there.
You mentioned that you agreed to sort of raise some money. How did you go about raising money if you didn't have a lot?
Yeah, so I was 28. Like I'd been working for 3 years, and like I'd saved some, but like the guy who made millions, like he had 250,000 to start with, and I didn't have 250,000. I had great credit because I always paid my bills on time, and so I borrowed money. Like I borrowed from credit cards, I borrowed from online lenders, cashed out my 401k. You know, I paid the taxes and the penalty on that. That's how I got my hands on the 94,000 that started this all.
The credit cards and online loans, I mean, those interest rates are significant usually. What were they to your memory?
They were between 20 and 30%. So, you know, I think Discover was the worst. Like they charged me like 30%, but none of them was less than 20.
And so you raised the money. When did you have raised?
January. So I remember it because this happened over the holidays. Like I started like sending out loan applications like before Christmas in 2016. And by the time, you know, like I got approved or rejected or whatever, and like money got transferred into my account, and I then transferred it to Iwana's account. Like it took like 6 weeks. So it was like the third week of January, January 20th, I want to say, that all the money got raised, and I got it and I gave it to Iwana.
Now, you say you raised $94,000. Well, how much did she raise?
She didn't raise any money. So I mean, she was still working as a dog walker. She didn't have money of her own. It was all me.
Well, what was she going to get out of it? You said, okay, she doesn't raise the money, but she gets, what was she getting for doing this task?
She was getting 50% of the profits.
What, I mean, just, why were you willing to part ways with half of the profits if you're putting up all of the money?
So I mean, this goes back to when she asked me to be her forever friend. Like I'm not an idiot. Like I know that that's a rejection, but when she, you know, put that term out there to describe what we were to each other, I didn't say okay just unknowingly. Like I meant it when I agreed to be by her side. What I understood that to be was that we were going to be together in life, one way or another, and I'd support her, whatever that meant. You know, if it's not, you know, if we're not together romantically, like I'd support her emotionally, I'd support her financially, logistically, like whatever shape life took, like I was willing to support her. I considered her to like be my partner in life. And life is weird. It comes at you in ways that you don't expect. So, this splitting of the profits was me treating her like a partner, like an equal participant in this thing.
When was it supposed to end?
I had no idea when it would end. So the customers, had been trading this way for like 4 years, but I had no idea, if Merrill was going to raise their trading fees like the next month, whether I'd get another 4 years, like to trade this. Like I really had no idea how long it would last.
At the end of it, let's say, it was supposed to end at some point, I assume. What was supposed to be done with the money? I mean, you have principal, you have interest, and then you have profits. Those are kind of the three components. What was supposed to happen to principal first?
Yeah, that's a good way to talk through it. So the order of what was supposed to happen, like if we made money, like at the end of it, she's supposed to pay me back the money that I gave her, 94,000. Next, everything that I paid to borrow that money, so like the interest, I ended up paying a lot of interest. She was supposed to pay me back that second. And then third, whatever was left over is what we were going to split 50-50.
So did she end up opening an account at Merrill Lynch?
Yeah, she opened it like around Christmas, maybe New Year's of like 2017.
And you say you got the money and you sent it by, how did you send the money to her physically? I mean, how did you get it to her?
Yeah, so it turns out like I have to do some work to send money. So I Zelled her, but like there was a limit on the Zelle. So like I Zelled her like $20,000. I took out some cash from the ATM, but there are limits on that. Like one night over dinner, like at the dinner table, I handed her like $20,000, and then I think I like wrote a check for the rest of it. I actually had to look up how to do that because I don't write checks. It's something my parents do. But it was like three different ways, and that's why it took a few weeks to get it all over to her.
Now, she's getting 50% of the profits, but what happens if in the trading, I mean, did you ever contemplate this possibility that maybe, not only would you not make any money, but you could lose it all?
Yeah. So I'm a worrier by nature, and I definitely thought about what happens if something crazy happens and all goes belly up. It was just my name on the loan, so I was the only one that was going to be responsible if this went south. All the credit cards were in my name, all the loans were just in my name. It's my 401k that the cash came out of. So if we lost money, like I was going to be on the hook for paying those back. It wasn't going to be Iwana that paid those.
Did the defendant ever say something to you like, this seems pretty risky, are you sure about this? You could lose everything.
No, not once.
So when did you actually begin the trading? When did the trading start? The money's into the account, you said by January, mid-January, third week of January. When did you actually start trading?
Like right away, like the 21st of January. So I'm borrowing, I'm paying interest. So as soon as the money got in her account and it was ready, like we started putting in trades.
Could you just enter her account and put in a username and password and then just make a trade on your own?
No, so like I knew the username and password. We came up with it together. It was like arbitrageur, and then we're both huge Michael Jackson fans. So like we had a password called Michael Seven Pies, and I knew that, and I could type them in, but I need her help every single time because there was like a 2-factor authentication code. I got text to her, and she'd forward that along to me.
How many trades do you estimate you made in that first year of 2017?
Quite a few. We probably put in like 300 or 400 trades that year.
Did she ever say, I'm not giving you the code?
No, never. In fact, like from 2017 to 2022, not once did she ever say, you're not getting the code, Zubair.
Now, I want to sort of shift gears, and a couple of months into the trading in March of 2017, there was sort of a situation that came up. Can you tell me what it was that came up that affected your trading?
Yeah. So things have been going good. Like in the for 2 months, like we'd made probably $15,000. We were really excited because neither one of us had ever made that kind of money before. But what happened in March, like almost right away, was I got a call from the FBI.
What was the FBI calling about? I mean, that must, well, first of all, take us to that moment. You get a call from somebody who says, "Hi, my name's John with the FBI."
I mean, like the first thing I remember is like, looking at the number that I don't recognize coming through on my phone. And I answered. Like back then there weren't as many spam calls. So I picked up, and the guy on the other guy, I don't think his name was John. I want to say Justin. But yeah, he says, I'm a special investigator with the FBI, and I have questions about your dad's finances and about some student loans that you took out.
Now, with respect to student loans, had anything happened prior to that that kind of connected some things?
Yeah, so the student loan thing wasn't like a complete surprise. A year ago, I'd gotten a call from the Department of Education telling me that the information that I put on my FAFSA, so the federal application for federal student aid, they were looking it over, and they thought that like I might not have qualified for some of the grants and loans that I'd gotten to go to college after I lost my scholarship. So I knew that was happening, but I thought, like I was gonna have to pay like $5,000 or $7,000, whatever, $10,000 back. I had no idea that the FBI was going to get involved. Like that just seemed crazy to me. If you fall behind on your credit card payment, like you don't get a call from the CIA. So the FBI thing completely threw me. Even though I knew about the student loans, like that had been going on for like a year.
In terms of the student loans, they said you didn't complete. You said that they had problems with what you put down on your student loan applications. Do you remember precisely what it was they were focused on?
Objection, hearsay, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Yeah, I do remember. So this was like 2016. I'd been out of college for a while. It was like almost 10 years since I'd filled out those applications, and I'd paid off all of my student loans. But I remember like what the issue